Today I'll be working on my Freesky Swift horse. I will be replacing this Shimano Tourney shifter for a new Shimano Altus shifter that I just purchased. It's not that the Tourney is necessarily a bad shifter. It worked just fine until I had a little incident. I put the bike down in a corner and smashed the Tourney a little bit, which made it so the shifting is inconsistent. Sometimes it will skip a gear when I shift. I probably could crack it open and fixed it, but the price of the Altus is such that it's not worth doing. I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. If you watched my upgrade videos, you probably remember that I had replaced my Cassette with a Cassette that has a tall first gear to make it easier to climb steep hills. And that's what you see here is the Shimano. The biggest challenge with this particular Cassette is there's a big jump between first and second gear on this. It goes from a 24 tooth to a 34 tooth, and that's very noticeable when you ride the bike. In one of my upgrade videos, a fellow YouTuber made me aware of this alternative to that Shimano Cassette. This is the Sunrace Mega Drive Cassette, and it has a much more linear growth between the different sprocket sizes, going all the way from gear 1 to gear 7. In this particular case, talking about gear 1 and gear 2, it goes from a 28 tooth to a 34 tooth instead of a 24 tooth to a 34 tooth, which is quite a jump. So this is going to give me essentially more gearing options out on the trail. This is the new shifter I will be installing. This is the Shimano Altus shifter, and this is really a step up from the Tourney. Not that the Tourney is a bad shifter, it's actually a pretty decent shifter. But what I like about this shifter is it allows you to use your first finger for shifting and your thumb instead of the big reach that you get with the Tourney, which I'm not a big fan of. This should make that a little bit better, but also overall I think it's a little bit higher quality. Again, not that there is anything wrong with the Tourney. I bought both of these items from Amazon, and I will include links in the description below. The first step in this process, since I'll be replacing the Cassette, is to drop the rear wheel. If I was just doing the shifter, I wouldn't have to do this. But in order to drop the rear wheel, the process is basically disconnecting the motor right here and then loosening both 19 millimeter bolts on the axle. Make sure to support the wheel when you drop this, or when you loosen this second bolt, because this can just drop straight out through the bottom. Sometimes it gets bound up a little bit, and it's a little trickier than that. If you do have a difficulty getting this to drop out of the rear dropouts here, you'll notice that the axle has two flat sides on it. You can actually use a 10 millimeter open end wrench to kind of shift that around until it wants to loosen up, and then you need to do the same for the other side. Again, make sure you're supporting the wheel when you do this so that it doesn't just fall down onto the ground. Once you got the wheel off, it helps to put it, like you see here, on a 5-gallon bucket. In my particular case, I'm just using a trash can that I have around. You'll need to remove the nut off of there and then the two washers, and make sure you keep in mind which way these go back on. Set them aside. And for the next step, you need a special tool. It's a cassette removal tool. It looks like this. You can buy these on Amazon or AliExpress. I'll try to include a link in the description for it. And then it just simply slides down into the cassette like this, and then you just need to work it off with, like I'm using an adjustable wrench here. Of course, you can use whatever you have available. It can be a little bit tight, but the threading is normal, so you just need to twist it counterclockwise. I'm not going to lie, I used a little bit of persuasion from my handy plastic mallet to get this off of here, just kind of like pounding on this, but I have worked it loose, and now the cassette should just unscrew. Just like that. And now we want to place the new cassette on there and repeat the process in reverse. I'm not sure what the torque specs are on that. If I can find them, I'll include them below in the description, but I just snug it up pretty firm. I'm going to start at the derailleur side and remove the cable. In order to do that, I'm just going to clip this end off. The new shifter came with the new cable, so hopefully that'll work out. If not, we'll figure out something. And then I need to loosen this bolt that holds the cable in place. It is an odd size, it's a 9mm. Should just be able to loosen that up. And then you'll see the cable just comes right out of there, like that. And then I can just pull that out, as you can see, and then we'll thread the new cable down in there when it's ready. Replacing the shifter is very easy, but I'm going to have to remove the grip, and I'm going to have to remove the brake in order to do that. Now I can remove the Phillips head screw that is on the bottom of the shifter, or just loosen it actually is all you need to do. If you have enough cable, then you can just slide it right off like that. And now since I'm going to be using the other cable, I hope, as long as it fits, I'm just going to pull the cable all the way through. Now I will take my new shifter here and I will unwind the cable, of course. And then hopefully, like I said, it fits in the stock cable housing. If not, then I'm going to probably have to get some new cable housing. And we have a fit, so we're in luck. Now I just hope it's long enough, but I imagine it should be. Go ahead and push that on through. Now I'm going to go ahead and just slide the new shifter onto the bars and take the slack out of that cable. Before I tighten that up, I'm going to reinstall the brake and the grip just to kind of get everything positioned correctly before I get it all tightened back up again. Just tighten up the shifter, and we are done for now up here. As you can see, we had plenty of cable length, so now I'm just going to thread this back down through the derailleur here, and I'm going to put it back clamp it back down here. I'm not going to clamp it yet. We need to make some adjustments to it. One step that I neglected to mention is that before I start tightening things up on the derailleur, I want to make sure that these adjustments are all the way in on both the shifter as well as the derailleur. The other thing I'm going to do is make sure that this shifter is all the way into the smallest cog, which is 7th gear. Now I'm going to reinstall the wheel. I'm just going to not loosely, but I should just snug these up a little bit. I'm not going to take them to the full torque spec until I get the bike down on the ground so that the weight of the bike can ensure that the wheel is all the way up into those slots. The final step is to get our derailleur cable tension adjusted in, and of course would be adjusting the stop limits for the low and the high gear here. But I'm not going to go into great detail on this because there are tons of videos that you can watch on how to do that. So I'm basically going to speed up the process of doing this. Okay, now that I have this thing shifting well, the only thing I have to do is to clip off that cable end and crimp a new ending on it. With that, the install is finished. I got my new shifter on, the Altus shifter, which feels great, by the way. And my new cassette is on, and the derailleur is adjusted properly. As far as an update on the Freesky, I am still really enjoying this bike. I was able to take it down to southern Utah last weekend and spend a few days riding on some trails, both some paved scenic trails, as well as some off-road single track trails. And it was a riot. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe.